81% of the human population want to write a novel, but only 3 to 5 of these people will actually finish one in their lifetime. If you yourself are one of the chosen few who's actually managed to finish a novel-length narrative, congratulations, and as someone who has finished a novel herself, I know how good it feels to see all of your hard work pay off. However, one of the notorious questions that a lot of novelists ask themselves once they finish their first novel is what comes next? How do you turn this possibly messy but beautiful first draft into something that is actually publishable? That is a question that I'm hoping to answer in this video. Hi everyone, my name's Kizayan and I am a writer. I am currently working on Project Evergreen, which is my YA portal fantasy novel, which I finished in October of 2023, and I am currently working to get that project ready for beta readers. Well, I started writing 2 novels before I wrote Project Evergreen. I failed to finish them, which makes Project Evergreen the first novel-length narrative that I ever wrote from start to finish. And while I am far from the first draft stage of this project, I find it really inspirational as a writer to make videos about the stage and the writing process that I'm currently in. And as of right now, it is developmental and line edits on Project Evergreen. So whether you finished a first draft yourself or you're just curious about what comes next in the writing process, today I'm going to share my foolproof 7-step process for what to do after you finish your first draft. But before I say anything else, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It helps me and our community out a lot. And without further ado, let's get into the tips. So contrary to what most may believe, the first step that you want to take after you finish writing your novel is to let your manuscript sit. Now, I know when a lot of novelists think of the next step after finishing the first draft, it's easy to get really excited about your project and making it stronger, and so you may feel the urge to jump right into it and get to work. And while I would not necessarily say that that is a bad idea, I highly suggest that you as a writer take at least a couple days or a week or so to rest and kind of get some distance from your manuscript. Doing any type of edits on your manuscript require a more objective mindset, or a mindset that is more unbiased, meaning that you'll be able to have an easier time when looking at the bigger picture of your novel and therefore kind of seeing the things that you need to do in order to make it stronger. But having this objective mindset is a little harder when you are so close and you probably have a larger emotional attachment to the novel. And at least in my experience, I can say that this moment for me was as soon as you finish the first draft. So even if you have the urge to continue working on your novel, let it sit, whether that is for a couple days or a couple months, and give yourself a break. Let yourself celebrate this achievement and this accomplishment of finishing your first novel, and don't worry about getting back to it too soon, because your novel will be waiting for you whenever you're ready. And before I get into the nitty-gritty of the tips, I want to give you guys a little disclaimer. Now, even though I have these steps listed in a specific chronological order, I want to let you guys know that this is not necessarily set in stone for every single writer. Even though I've gone through most of the steps in this list with Project Evergreen, I will say that there have been times in which I went out of order in how I've executed these steps, and or I've gone back and forth and repeated several of these steps more than once. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if you find that you need to do a certain type of edit more than one time before you're actually ready to move forward, then that is okay as well. So after you've given yourself and your novel a break, you want to complete step 2, which is to reread through your writing. This is finally your opportunity to look at both the strengths and the weaknesses of your novel by reading through it. Whether you read your novel quickly or slowly, which means in the matter of days versus weeks, depends on what you are looking for within this read through. Either way, I highly recommend that you do some type of annotation. So you want to have a pen and some highlighters ready and kind of create a color coding system as to what each color means in your manuscript. Now, I personally just reread my manuscript of Project Evergreen via Google Docs, which is the software that I use to write my novels. However, you could also print your book out in maybe a true book form or put it in a binder, and that's a good way to get a visual and physical representation of what you've written. So after you have gotten a good idea of what you need to change and fix in your manuscript, you want to create a plan of some sort. Now, whether you execute this step in Google Docs as a brain dump or in a journal entry, you want to create some type of plan and really get a solidified idea of what you're going to be looking for when you're editing your manuscript. And if you are not familiar with the term brain dump, that basically means that whatever comes to your mind or whatever things popped out to you in the manuscript as things either you love and you want to keep in future drafts, or things you want to change, or maybe things you want to elaborate to make your book stronger, this is your time to write that down. And so now when you go back and edit your manuscript in the following steps, you have a guide to look at and see what changes you want to make. There are multiple types of edits that any writer will probably need to do on their manuscript. The biggest stage in the funnel would be developmental edits. And basically, these edits serve to solidify things like character, plot, character agency, and basically like the overarching things that need to be in place in order for the book to be good, essentially. So if you notice during your read through that you have any plot holes or inconsistencies or anything you want to elaborate more, especially if you're writing a fantasy book, which is my genre of choice, and perhaps you maybe have some things you need to elaborate more in your magic system because these elements are important to the plot, this is your time to make sure that everything is consistent. You're not yet focusing on line level details or the prettiness of the prose, but more so those elements that are really going to make or break your novel and its quality. So once you are feeling good about your characters and your plot and you feel as though you have a solid story, it is finally time to make the line level sentences in your novel truly sing off the page. And this step in the funnel is called line edits. Now, if you are not familiar with this term, line edits are basically when you edit the line level words in your novel. So basically, you're trying to make the words actually sound pretty. Maybe you still have to create a tone or a voice for every single character. Now, ideally, you will have these ideas in some capacity in earlier steps in this process. However, if you do not, line edits are really when you get an idea of the tone of your narrator and your characters to kind of make the whole story cohesive. Of course, characters and plot are really important to a story, which is why we tend to address them first in developmental edits. But in many popular stories, beautiful prose is what truly grabs the reader's attention and keeps it throughout the entire duration of the story. So now you've taken a break, you've read through your book and annotated it, you've done developmental and line edits, whether it's one pass of each or multiple passes of each. And chances are at this point, you've done all that you can do to your manuscript. And you probably don't know what other changes you need to add to it, even if you know that it still needs work. If you are currently in this scenario, it is time to seek feedback from other people, whether it's your trusted family, friends, or acquaintances, or someone that you hire online. Chances are it'll be helpful to a lot of us writers at this stage to have someone else read our manuscript and give us feedback on what they think could make it stronger. Of course, there are some traditional or self-published novels that have been published successfully without having any other eyes on it other than the author. However, particularly if you are a new novelist, I think it's a great idea to have someone else look at your novel before you pursue either method of publishing. This is because it is easy for us to have several pass-throughs of a novel and still miss grammatical errors or plot inconsistencies or other issues within it. We can begin to overlook things that another person may be able to detect. Now, while this does not mean that you do not take the time to edit your novel yourself, it's always good to have a couple other pairs of eyes on your manuscript to really catch those things that you as an author may miss. And while beta readers, which are the people who read and provide feedback on your manuscript, can also give you ideas on how to strengthen it, it can also affirm the craftsmanship that you have put into your novel and truly reassure you when and if your novel is ready for publication. Just remember that beta readers are the most effective to you and your understanding of your manuscript after you've done everything that you can do to strengthen it. And the last and final step in this 7-step process is to apply the feedback that your beta readers have given you. So chances are, if you have hired beta readers or you've had some of your family and friends to read it, there's likely you've identified some things that you could strengthen in your manuscript. Chances are, if you have good beta readers, they've given you insight on specific parts of the novel and plot or character elements that may need to be strengthened before you seek publication of your actual manuscript. So this is your chance to go back in and fully polish your manuscript according to their feedback. I want to give a little note here that a lot of feedback from your beta readers may be helpful. However, you may not agree with some of the things that they have to say, and that is completely fine. I think the opinion that matters most as far as human beings in regards to your story is you, the author. So your thoughts and your opinions on what you think will make the story better matter. However, if you feel as though a beta reader is giving you feedback that will strengthen the manuscript and make your story better, then I do recommend you apply that feedback to really polish the story and make it as strong as it can be. Hey you guys, so this is Q-Sign here the next day after I filmed the majority of this video, and I wanted to say, although I did successfully address most of the edits that you'll want to go through to completely polish your manuscript, there were 2 types of edits that I did not previously mention, and so I want to mention them here. So the first one would be copy edits. Now this, I mentioned plot holes earlier in developmental edits. However, copy edits is really a second check on any inconsistencies in your novel. So plot holes or anything that doesn't quite make sense in the plot, this is your opportunity to fix those, and that comes right after line edits. Then the last and final version of editing that you want to do is a proofread, and usually you would hire someone to do this, or if you're pursuing traditional publishing and you get a book deal, usually you will have your editor proofread your novel. And basically this is when you check for grammatical errors or spelling errors. So this is pretty much looking at word for word grammatical accuracy in your sentences. So I just wanted to put that out there just so you guys know that those are also 2 important steps in the editing process. And without further ado, let's continue in the video. I hope you all enjoyed hearing a little bit about my process when it comes to editing my manuscript once I finish the first draft. I hope this video may be helpful to any writers who have finished the first draft of their story and they may be wondering what they should do next, or maybe any aspiring writer who kind of wants to see what the editing process looks like. Regardless of where you are in the writing process, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and most of all, I hope it was of help to you. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Not only does that let me know that you guys enjoy this type of content, but it also helps the YouTube algorithm know that people are enjoying my videos and therefore encourage them to spread my videos to even more viewers. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.